Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, less known classics. This episode number 2351, double show number 2245. We have a Wolverine trade, some issues of Wolverine, and some issues of Peter Parker took a Spider-Man, which come from the seventh and last. I think it's like the sixth volume. Actually, no, it's the seventh volume of. I think it's seventh volume of Marvel Master Race Peter Parker took a Spider-Man plus a couple of annuals. Okay, first what we have is Wolverine Epic Collection, Volume 9, Tooth and Claw by Larry Hama. And Howard Mankey does some stuff here too, which is quite cool. Surprisingly, this book doesn't cover very much of the series. No, not really. Here's what it covers. Issues 101 to 109, 102.5, and 96, Uncanny X-Men number 332, Venom, Tooth and Claw, Logan, Path of Warlord, Logan, Shadow Society. You're writing here, aside from Larry Hama and obviously Howard Mankey, you have Scott Lobdell, Jeff Loeb, Rob Macchio, Dan Slott, Joe Kelly, and Mark Johnson. The artwork of these books are by Joe Marina, Val Semikis, Adam Kubert, Ed McGinnis, Anthony Wynn, Joe St. Pierre, John Paul Leon, Tom Cooker, Mark Buckingham, Mark Warrego, and Tommy Lee Edwards. The cover art is done by Joe St. Pierre. The back cover is Val Semikis. The main issues for Wolverine came off the period of May 1996, and the final issue was released in January of 1997. For some reason, they started with the Uncanny X-Men issue, which mostly put is basically Wolverine feral for a few issues. Yeah, it continues here in this very issue, and yeah, it's like story-wise, we pick up right where Wolverine, where basically Wolverine 100, and Wolverine is feral, and this is the first introduced to Ozymandias. Who is Ozymandias, might ask? He is this walking sculpture who works for Apocalypse. Yeah, that's about what he is, and mostly we just pick up right where that left off. So you have Wolverine turned feral. He's basically like a man-beast. And if you're curious, though, he's like this for a very brief period of time. He's like this until like 2.5 when he basically turned back normal. And also, for some reason, Elektra has decided to become a guest during this very book. Yes. Not sure why Larry Hama thought we got to have her appear in the book. And of course, this also leads into basically she's here from 101 to basically 106. Yeah, only here for 6 issues, including the 2.5. Yes. She's here most of 6 appearances, issues 103, 104. That is mostly put exactly what she's here for. That particular confrontation. So yeah, she's here. And then basically now 104, 105, I'm kind of discuss those issues because those do with Onslaught. But in a case of like 106, we continue with basically her being in the book. And just, do with Lokista. Wolverine's just back normal. He also has stopped wearing his traditional mask. He's basically with like bandana. And then he goes back to the mask later on. And then we have Yuriko and Amiko Kabayashi. Is Amiko just this character who Chris Gumma created. She is mostly put just a character associated with Wolverine very loosely. She has not appeared very much at all. Her previous appearance part of this very story was actually in the annual. Yes, the annual. Yep, the annual which is published in this book. The annual itself, mostly put, just basically has a guest appearance by the Red Ronin, who last appeared back in Tales of Marvel the Wonder Years. What was that book? Was issue number 1. Yeah, interesting though the fact it's mostly just Eyes of the Marvels. That's most what the book is. Yeah, because that's what the anime mostly is. It's basically Wolverine vs. Red Ronin, which that was really cool. Yeah, and then pretty much basically we just have Wolverine fight the Hand from issues 107 to 108, 109. Yeah, that's mostly what Wolverine is doing, fighting the Hand. But without Elektra. Elektra's dropped from the book at 106. But you might be curious, did she come back? No. So yeah, Wolverine fights the Hand for a few issues, and we'll talk about the other stuff. So in the case of the Venom book, that's here, Venom Tooth and Claw. This was a 3-issue miniseries Larry Hama worked on. Mostly put just Wolverine versus Venom for a 3-issue miniseries. This came after the conclusion of Venom the Hunger. It also features Scream. Well, the original Scream. Yep. Donna Diego. I think she became Scream with a different book. Mm-hmm. Of course, they deal with... It's mostly like a fun miniseries with Joseph Pierre doing the artwork of this one. It's really fun. They also have a woman named Chimera who had just previously appeared. And it's like, oh, let's just have basically fight Wolverine and Venom. And she had just appeared previously in Wolverine 99. And after issues 2 and 3, she pops up in Generation X. And then she popped up in Kenny X-Men when Karen Gillian wrote the book. Fearless the Fearless. The most recent appearance is actually in Extraordinary X number 4. Yep, as for the other one, Dirt Nap, he gets killed off in Issue Marauders. Well, the current book anyways. He actually doesn't really appear very much over the years. No, not really. He, of course, like in the case of Chimera, last appeared in Wolverine 99. He's here for this 3-issue miniseries, pops to Generation X, and then after that he pops up in the Steve Orlando Marauders one, where he dies. Yep. The Tooth and Claw miniseries is interesting at best, and the court he goes on trial because the jury gets involved. And the whole thing is set on a different Earth. Yeah. But fun issues. Love them. Logan, Path of the Warlord. Yeah. And Chow said these were 2 Wolverine one-shots that deal with him in Japan. That's mostly put with the issue is Wolverine Japan for this one-shot and the other one. Mm-hmm. My only guess is the reason why they included it because they're Wolverine one-shots. So of course, basically, they would do it. Yep. And of course, if you're curious how they publish them in here, they put the first one before the second one. They have that now. Path of War was released in February 1996, while Shadow Side was released in December. What was released in February 1996? Well, this actually was released before that. But they probably threw it in here because why not? But otherwise, though, it's a fairly short trade. Yes, how they structure this one is quite interesting. They have the Kenny X issue first, which obviously will be first. They have Wolverine 10103, 2.5, 204, 205, 206, the annual, 107 to 109, the Tooth and Claw miniseries, and those 2 one-shots. And that's it. It's a pretty good book, what it is. And surprisingly, there was not a volume 10 or 11. Nope. Those volumes are not here. But we are going to discuss issues of Wolverine, issues 110 to 114. Why do we discuss issues per se? Because I plan to cover Generation X soon. Generation X. Operation Galactic Storm, which has Wolverine issues tied into that particular event. Issue 110 basically has a Wolverine team with Shaman of Hoverflight. And Tom DeFalco. Now, I should point out, though, Larry Hama. Oh, by the way, who does 2 one-shots? Howard Mankey does the Shadow Society one. But what about Path of Warlord? That one is also Howard Mankey as well. Now, Larry Ham, I think 109, I think that was the wrap-up of his run for the book. I believe so. Let's see. Yeah, 109 was his finale for the book, but he came back for issues 111 to 118, but this is the end, but even though he came back one at a time, but yeah, he's pretty much done with the book. And, well, Tooth and Claw is actually... Now, the reason why they also included the Tooth and Claw book, aside from Wolverine guest star in those 3 issues... Well, the other reason was because Larry Hama wrote it. And it was published the same period of time, so I guess they figured, oh, why not? But in the case of these particular issues for Wolverine 110 to 114, aside from the fact he teams up with Shaman, he just mostly fights these, like, Jaco Gamero, basically this facing robbers in 110. In 111, he teams with the X-Men to take on some guy called Danger Room Guy. It's basically Ogun. Yes, he takes a freaking Ogun. Now, Ogun himself, prior to this very issue, had last appeared back in Wolverine 103. He comes back for these 3 issues. Yep, and after 3 issues, next appeared in Excalibur 111. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he spends the next 3 issues taking on, well, Ogun. And they changed the next issue to The Spirit and the Mime, with Wolverine here too. And then Jean Grey, and then of course we have Damian Hellstrom from the book. Yes, Damian Hellstrom is up here with the Possessing Spirit, which is also Ogun. 114 was the last issue we discussed before the events of Operation Zero Tolerance. It's Wolverine versus Son of Satan and Lady Deathstroke, which in this issue he also takes a part of her Phase 2. Yep. If you're really curious though who's the writer of these issues, no, 114, this is an issue that Larry Hama comes back for. But 110, that is a Tom DeFalco issue. It's just one issue he skips. And Larry Hama comes back for 110 to pretty much 114. Now you probably think, okay, gets up to 114. Does that mean that I'm almost done with Larry Hama's run of the book? Yes, I am. There is a 1/2 issue. He does not write the issue as Ben Rapp. I might cover it in the future. Maybe. There's also -1 as well. But 115 is for Operation Galactic Storm. Now, but we're not done just yet. By the way, I give Tooth and Claw a 9.5 out of 10. I'm going to give the Wolverine issues I'm going to give those a 9 as well. No. Okay, now for moving on to Peter Parker Spider-Man. We're discussing issues 80 through 84 because 85 discussed already, and annuals 5 and 6. Why am I discussing annuals 5 and 6? Because they were with the other issue I discussed previously. 85 is basically a weird issue. If you wonder who wrote this one, it's Bill Manslow. It's a whole issue focused on J. Jonah Jameson. That's most of what exactly what this issue is. It's a small issue here where he's basically acting like he's the hero, even though he really isn't. That's most of what exactly what this book is. Mm-hmm. Now, in the case of 81 to 83, this is a 3-parter that features the return of the Punisher and Cloak and Dagger, which also involves Spider-Man getting caught in Cloak's cloak and gets out. Punisher at last appeared, well, he actually appeared as a guest star in issue 80, which was a Jameson issue. Yeah, mostly put 80 to 83 just features Cloak and Dagger and the Punisher, which basically involves them taking on, well, the Kingpin of crime, because apparently he's involved with Silvermine. Yep. It's a really good 3-parter, which ends basically in part 3, where Punisher is put on trial for the first time. And, like, oh yeah, he's going to get help, possibly a mental institution. Nope, he goes to prison for like one issue. Yeah, he's there for the opening issue of his own miniseries that came out like right after this, because that was literally the very next thing he got was basically his own miniseries. Yeah, that was chronologically the very next thing he was in was that very comic book, because that's what I remember anyways. Because I think that's what he did afterwards. Like right after issue 83, he got his own miniseries. Yep. Which that's when they finally revealed his real name. Yep, and then 84. Mostly put involves the Black Cat. Of course, it was in drug addicts, and that's mostly it when it comes to this one. Yes, seriously. That's all that happened. Just basically starting to use Black Cat to think of some drug pushers. But what about annuals 5 and 6, you might ask? Well, they mostly deal with some biker gangs, and of course, Jane the Wolf is an issue. They guys called the Reapers, and you might be curious still. Do they appear again after this annual? Yes, they do. As a matter of fact, they appear in the very next annual. Peter David wrote both annuals. Yep. Here, both with Mark Buckingham. Mostly put, you have the character Ace, where he's asked to testify in court because basically his brother killed a guy, and he points him out, and he's like, I'm done. Walks out, and the case is declared a mistrial because, and the thing is, his brother was responsible for killing someone's father, and like, there's no justice. It's basically sort of a small scale two annuals, but they are really good. I thoroughly enjoyed them. Sadly, put Lenz, who him and his brother do not appear again after these two annuals. Yeah, that's kind of the weird thing about these two. The Reapers also do not appear again after these issues. Kate Cushing, who basically appeared with Spider-Man, she appeared in annual 6. But did she appear in number 5? No, it was basically Jane the Wolf. Jane the Wolf, who actually was, I think they must have forgot her hair color, because I think she's supposed to be brunette. Here she's a blonde. Yes, I have no idea why the heck, basically, the colorist of the book forgot the fact that Jane the Wolf is a brunette. Oh, probably because they also John Mako as well. She, of course, was a character appeared in Moon Knight. Yes, and then she appeared as a recurring character in Spider-Man for years. And then she's dropped from the comics. She actually returned for the run by Warren Ellis. Yeah, probably because basically she's first from the book. And her previous appearance part of that book was back in 1994 in a miniseries known as Spider-Man and X Factor Shadow Games. It's strange that a character first appeared in Moon Knight just became a recurring Spider-Man character. Does anybody think that's kind of weird? I do think that's weird. But the annuals up are really good. A good back-to-back stories. But that's all I gotta say about the two annuals. I'm gonna give the two annuals themselves a 9 out of 10. The main issues themselves, a 10 out of 10. Yep. Because I do think that the Punisher issues are the best ones. 80 is okay. 84 is okay as well. But 81, 83 is amazing. I love these issues. Now you might be curious though. Does Cloak and Dagger return after this two-parter? Well, three-parting one, because they're actually absent for issue 83, excuse me. The next appear in their own ongoing series. Yep. Yeah, it's like right after this, basically, like within like I don't know, like a month later, they get their own ongoing. Well, it's a mini series, and then they pop up in Strange Tales. Then they get an ongoing. I think so, anyways. Yes, I think so. But yeah, not much else to say about these issues. They're good. Okay, so that's episode of you. Next up, Michuku Tensai. Okay, next video. Bye.